Good morning, afternoon, or evening. We will be discussing in this Free Roaming Friends video topics of very controversial nature. We are discussing our opinions on Disneyland and Disney World and comparing our own personal preferences. Please note, these are just our personal preferences and we love all things Disney. We do not mean to throw any shade or show any disrespect to anyone in California, Florida, or at any point in between. Thank you for watching this disclaimer. Now let's get to this week's Free Roaming Friends video.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another Free Roaming Friends video. This week we are going to talk about our thoughts on Disneyland and Disney World. We went to Disneyland in September. Yes, we went to Disneyland in September and spent a good amount of time there. So we kind of thought maybe we should do a comparison. A lot of people have asked us, which do you like better? Which one would you rather go to? And they both have their good and bad points.
Yeah, the answer is it's complicated. Okay, we're done. Great.
It is complicated.
Great video. We'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. No, just kidding. Anyway, we thought we would just share a little bit about each park, and we're going to kind of break things down into a few general areas. Mm-hmm. So the first thing we want to talk about are the rides and the various attractions. As a general rule, I think we should preface this with our own bias.
Yes.
We do prefer Disney World. We did try to give Disneyland a fair shake, and it's a great park. Mm-hmm. Great two parks. And the way they have it laid out with downtown Disney right in the center, we do love it. So attraction-wise, having everything in one place is super, super helpful. And after you get the lay of the land, kind of like understanding what attractions are in Disneyland and what attractions are in California Adventure and how those compare to home, Disney World, it's pretty easy to figure out. As far as attractions go or rides go, Disneyland has more of the originals than Disney World does, and because of that, it was almost like they could correct the issues with attractions in Disneyland when they brought them to Disney World. However, there are a few anomalies here, like with Space Mountain. Space Mountain was original to Walt Disney World, and then it was taken to Disneyland, and that's why at Disneyland we think that the coaster is just an overall better experience. It's a two-seater instead of a one, and that was to help address capacity issues and the amount of room they had to work with. But it also is a smoother coaster, I think, as well. It's a more pleasant coaster experience.
Right.
What else?
Well, as far as having the originals or a lot of the original rides at Disneyland, yes, I agree that when some of those came to Disney World, they tweaked them and made them maybe a little better. But there are a couple that I much prefer Disneyland's version to Disney World. Pirates of the Caribbean, for an example, is one of those. Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland is so much better. It's longer and it tells more of a complete story. I was kind of shocked. I was like, okay, we're in a bayou and now we're going down a flume, and then we're like, it had so much more than what I was used to, and it just told such a complete story. I also really enjoy the Haunted Mansion.
You took mine.
Sorry. I've
lived my entire life.
Go. Tell us why.
I've lived my entire life to experience the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay at Haunted Mansion in Disneyland. And we finally got to experience it in September, the first day it was open for the season. And it was absolutely amazing. Like, I remember being younger and watching a special on TV somewhere, I don't remember where, but watching a special about that particular overlay and thought, my word, one day I would love to get out there and do that. But it'll probably never happen.
And it did.
And guess what? It just, I mean, it did. And we rode the Haunted Mansion with that overlay
I think we rode it four times.
4 or 5 times, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was completely worth it.
It was.
Now that being said, I don't know that with the because we've seen the regular overlay as well, and I don't know that I necessarily have a favorite.
The regular version in Disneyland is very similar to Disney World. However, the one in Disneyland does have the Hatbox Ghost, and it does have, the beginning is slightly different. Instead of where at Disney World you actually are on the ride already when you go through the hallway with the portraits, at Disneyland that's an area in the queue. And I thought that was kind of cool. It sets it up, I thought, differently. And I thought that was a cool way to set it up. I also like the outside feeling, the outside vibe a lot better.
It fits in with New Orleans Square really well.
Yes. Yes.
Because this is made like a plantation home, a New Orleans plantation home. And it's a cool experience, and I think New Orleans Square just had the better theming. You know, has really nice theming altogether. So,
as far as attractions though go, that's what we're talking about. At Walt Disney World, obviously there's just more. There's more to choose from. It has 4 parks instead of just 2, so you know that's a little hard to compare in that respect. But as far as you're gonna laugh at me. As far as the magic I feel like there are certain rides at Disneyland where you feel it more simply because in the back of your mind you know that they're the originals, you know? But at Walt Disney World you also have ride choices that you don't have at all in Disneyland, like with Flight of Passage at Animal Kingdom or Remy's Ratatouille Adventure at Epcot. You know, like you don't even have those options at Disneyland. So rides and attractions is a touchy.
Or Radiator Springs Racers.
Or you don't have Radiator Springs Racers at Disney World. So rides and attractions are hard to compare.
The Incredicoaster.
The Incredicoaster. Disney World does have more options. The next category is food and dining.
Dining.
So, again, similar to attractions, Disney World has more. There are just more options. They have Epcot. Need we say more? But
we will.
We will. Yes, we will. But Epcot has fantastic options. But that's not saying that the food that we had in Disneyland wasn't spectacular, because it was great. But again, there's just more options in Disney World. But what do you think? What do you think about food?
I think that Disneyland really did lack some of like the what they would call a signature dining or the more fine dining experiences. You didn't really get that like you would get at Disney World. The other big thing that we noticed is that we pay for our meals with gift cards a lot of times, or at least the bulk of it, and then we tip on our regular credit card or something like that. Gift cards are one of the main things that we bring to Disney, and you might want to check out that video. We'll link it right here. So we use gift cards for everything. And so some of y'all probably know that the Patina Group owns many of the restaurants at Disney World and Disneyland. So every restaurant at Disney Springs will accept our Disney gift cards, no problems, no questions asked. And some of those restaurants that we've eaten at and used our cards for are Patina Group restaurants. However, in Disney Springs, that wasn't the case. We ate at a restaurant and tried to pay with a Disney gift card, and we were turned down because they said that they weren't owned by Disney. So that's something to keep in mind if you're going to be using gift cards and you're going to be eating outside of the park at a non-Disney owned restaurant, even though you're in Disney's even though you're in downtown Disney, something to think about before you put everything on the card, or maybe use those cards for merchandise in the parks. There's plenty of ways to spend money at Disney World or Disneyland. As far as food goes, I think that's it was almost like all of Disneyland was like a Magic Kingdom. Because Magic Kingdom doesn't really have a lot of, I would say quality, because the food's fine, but it doesn't have a lot of very high quality, like memorable sit-down meals.
Yeah.
We've had some memorable meals at Magic Kingdom.
Pretty wrong, right? reasons.
For the wrong reasons. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. I think now I thought, like I said, I thought the food was very good at Disneyland, what we had. But you are right. I hadn't thought about that. As far as signature dining, you get that at Disney World. There are a couple places maybe at Disneyland, but there is not the amount there.
The next thing we should talk about are the accommodations. When Disneyland was built, they didn't buy enough land around it, which has been pretty well documented through the Disney Archives, Disney history books. On Disney Plus, you can see that. At Walt Disney World, they've bought so much land, so there are so many hotels. Of course, Disneyland only has the 2 parks, and Disney World has the 4 theme parks and the 2 water parks. At Disneyland, the city of Anaheim is all around you. You can see things outside of the Disney bubble pretty quickly. Whereas at Disney World, like by the time you hit I-4, you don't see anything. But so I think we should, if we're looking at accommodations, Disneyland has the Grand Californian, and Disney World has the Grand Floridian, and we haven't stayed in either one. But we've heard that they're both we've heard that they're both great hotels and great amenities. The cool thing about the Anaheim version is that there are lots of hotels around Disneyland. The whole area has kind of grown up with Disney in mind, although Disney doesn't actually run the hotels. Something new that has launched, and I say new as in since they've reopened. I don't know if it's run by the city of Anaheim or how exactly it's run, but the bus system, instead of having Disney buses, it's called ART, so the Anaheim, I think Anaheim Rapid Transit is what it's called. And you have to have 2 apps to make it work, but it's pretty cheap to do. And it'll go to several of the hotels, but it operates more like a city bus, and will drop you at areas outside the park so you can go through security and all of that. You also have the options of Ubers and other rideshare services. Yeah. We did rideshare most of the time at Disneyland, just for the convenience for us. We were still going to, it's still height of, pandemic, and
yeah,
we wanted to be as safe as possible and doing what we were doing. So either way, it was fine. And with the ART system, you had several stops, whereas with rideshare you have none. Even with Disney World transportation, sometimes you have multiple stops, but it is a little more closed in.
We stayed at an Airbnb very close by, so we've stayed at an off-property hotel and an Airbnb site, and love them both. Really, they were both fantastic. And we just released an Airbnb tutorial and review video, so we will link that right here for you to watch. Okay, so I know that most of our decisions and most of our choices have leaned heavily in Walt Disney World's favor. However, that's about to change with character experiences.
I'm your favorite character. Wait.
You sure are.
You're my favorite character.
Thanks.
Let's talk about character interactions.
Character interactions at Disneyland are far and away better than at Disney World, in my opinion. All of these are our opinions. But at Disneyland, what I really liked, what I really enjoyed, was that you could be walking towards the castle and Tiana would come out of nowhere and be like, oh, hey. And then you could just go over and say, hey, girl. And you could talk for a minute and take a picture and be on your merry way. And then you could go to, I don't know, Frontierland and see Winnie the Pooh. Out strolls Winnie the Pooh. You can say, oh, hey, Winnie, what's up? And talk to him. And then be on your merry way. You don't have to go and wait in an hour-long line to meet them. You don't have to, I feel like at Disney World, character meetings have grown into being treated as an attraction. So, which I guess in some cases may have its merit, but it felt so much more magical and so much more personal to me at Disneyland. The interactions that I had at Disneyland with characters felt so much more personal, so much more, and so much more magical. It was so easy, and it was fun, and it was nice to just see them stroll out, and then you can just go over and say hi. Now granted, you usually have to wait for a minute because, you know, there's a crowd around them, but you're not waiting in a line. You're not, you know, being given a wait time of 15 to 30 to an hour, you know, and I just love that. I thought that was fantastic. Now, they are still doing a lot of social distancing with characters, both at Disney World and Disneyland. So it's still not a situation where you can run up to characters and give them a hug or anything like that, or get an autograph at Disneyland. But it was also great because there was a variety of characters. Like, we met Piglet, Eeyore, Miguel from Coco, Tiana, Cinderella, the Queen from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Snow White. I think we met a couple of the dwarfs. Like, just a variety of characters, not just the same ones all the time, which I loved. Disneyland, you did a great job with that one. Let's compare Magic Kingdom Park to Disneyland Park. Now, they are very similar in a lot of ways. They have the 4 lands, and they both have a main street, they both have a castle. At Disney World, again, there's just more room. There's more room to spread out. When we first went to Disneyland, let me preface this, we really like Disneyland. We really love it, but we were a little underwhelmed with the castle.
Main Street was just smaller.
I think we were just expecting something more like what we were used to at Disney World, and it just wasn't that. So if you go there not having any conceived ideas of what it's going to be, then, you know, fantastic. And I appreciate it now after going for what it is. It's very cool in its own way.
It almost felt like with Main Street USA, and this is probably just trying to get my bearings in the parks too, but like, it felt like things were on the opposite sides of the street between the parks. Like, there wasn't a Casey's Corner, like, you could get hot dogs and stuff at Disneyland, but I felt like, but it was still there, like that area was still there, and it was across the street, I think. So it was kind of hard to get my bearings there for a minute, but like, it was also California, so it wasn't like, it wasn't humid.
Right.
So you were in California.
That should have been
It was hot, yeah.
That should have been another thing that we included. Disneyland would have won out was weather.
Yeah, it doesn't rain in Southern California. If folks from Southern California can verify this. But yeah, it's a much more arid climate, whereas Disney World, it could rain in any second of the day, even with a 0% chance. We have umbrellas every single day, especially in the summertime. Oh, yes. And it's also really humid, so
yes.
But at Disneyland, you might need your chapstick.
Disneyland would win out with weather.
Yeah.
For sure.
And some lip balm and
For sure. Overall, I think Magic Kingdom, and again, this is just our opinion, but I think at Magic Kingdom in Disney World, it's just more dramatic. It's a bigger build up, and it's like, wow. When you see that castle at the end of Main Street, you're like, whoa, there she is. You know, where at Disneyland, when we went there, we were kind of like, oh.
It would have been really cool if Disneyland were the first place we went. If Disneyland were our home park.
Yeah.
That would be different. And I think that Disneyland does get some points for use of space. A lot of times on Disneyland rides, which I guess this could have been on the ride section, but you have to go upstairs to get to, as part of the queue, where at Disney World you don't. So at Disneyland you have to use the space better. You have to be more efficient with your use, and you have to be more thoughtful with all of your detail and what's going into your space, because it's limited, and it's not like we can just build an expansion so easily. So I say we.
Right. No, I agree with you though. The use of space is definitely, a cool thing there.
Okay, so for this section, because we're East Coasters, these are things that we need Disney World to adopt from Disneyland. And if you have anything else, if you're going to make a comment on this video, this is where you should make it. For me, probably for you too, I'm probably going to steal it, but Cars Land, I could spend all day in that little baby Cars Land at it's a California Adventure, right?
Yes.
I could spend my whole day at Cars Land in California Adventure. We need it. It's a necessity. I would like senior management to take this up immediately, and please bring it to the board, and please allocate some funding for Cars Land to come to Walt Disney World.
Yes, please bring Cars Land over to Walt Disney World.
I love that we're talking about this. We bought this. We own Disney. We are Disney. We have nothing.
Nothing.
The mouse has more of our money than we do.
Yes, he does.
He
does. The mouse has our money. Another thing that we feel that Disney World could do more like Disneyland, again, is the character experiences. Character experiences of Disneyland are just spectacular. I just love how they do it. Also, in my opinion, I think that New Orleans Square is super cool. I know that this is not going to happen, but it would be so cool to have a New Orleans Square at Disney World. I like Liberty Square, but there's just something about New Orleans Square.
But I also disagree. I think New Orleans Square is really cool, and I've been to New Orleans, and New Orleans is fairly close to Florida, and I think that was part of the reason of building it. And you're already in a swamp. But I think that Liberty Square at this point could be reimagined. I just feel like we can figure out a way to make Liberty Square more of an attraction instead of just something we pass through.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking the brown pavement in the streets. If you know, you know.
The last thing that I have loved about Disneyland since the first time we went was when Fantasmic was running at both parks, at Disneyland
The one at
and Disney
Anaheim
World.
is so much better.
We both love Fantasmic at Disney World, but the one at Disneyland is so exciting. Not that the one at Disney World isn't, but at Disneyland they have this Pirates of the Caribbean part where they bring the huge ship out. There's pirates swinging all over the boat. They're fighting with their sword. It is so cool, and I would love to see them bring that part to our Fantasmic at Walt Disney World.
Well, who knows? They might.
Maybe.
They might. Fantasmic hasn't opened up yet.
Oh my gosh, what if that's what they're doing? That would be so exciting.
What if then you can take about 10% off there? To conclude, we are biased, and although we do feel we have done enough science to determine that we prefer Walt Disney World. If we had the choice, we would go to Walt Disney World over Disneyland and California Adventure. We had a great experience at Disneyland, and I would love to go back very soon. I think we should just kind of put it in a rotation personally, but Disney World for me is just, there's just so much diversity in what you can do, and with each park, when you're in those parks, it feels like that is the only thing that exists. So when you're in Magic Kingdom, well, I'm not a fan of Magic Kingdom like I am the others. When I'm in Epcot, there's nothing else that exists except Epcot. When you're in Animal Kingdom, there's nothing else that exists. And they're so different, you don't really think about the other parks when you're in when you're in them. So when I'm in Hollywood Studios, I'm not thinking of Magic Kingdom. I'm not thinking of Epcot. I'm not thinking of Animal Kingdom. But although I do love California Adventure.
Yeah.
I mean, if I would rank the 6 of them, California Adventure would not be last.
No.
Neither would Disneyland, I don't think. Would not be last for me.
No.
For the 6 parks.
Basically, both places have a very special place in the world and in our hearts. Disneyland, we had a wonderful time there. Yes, we do prefer Walt Disney World. It's our home. I mean, it's where, you know, it's where we go all the time. We're used to it, and it has a lot of options. The immersion is great there, you know, but Disneyland definitely has its very strong points. And I think one of the best ones for me is that Walt Disney himself got to see that park come alive. And personally, I felt that when I was there. And I think, not to take anything away from Disney World, but there's an extra special little bit of magic at Disneyland because Walt got to see that park actually open. And they're both fantastic. We love them both. So again, thank you so much for watching this week's video. If you have your own opinions, comments, please feel free to leave those in the comment section. We would love to read about your opinions of both parks. Again, this is just how we feel. We know that everybody feels differently, especially if you're a West Coaster or an East Coaster, you know, it's gonna differ. So we would love to read your ideas and your thoughts on both parks. And thank you so much for watching. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Hey everybody, welcome back to another Free Roaming Friends video. Today, if one's not crying, one's coughing. Are you done? Okay. Yes.
I'm stuck.
Okay.
I'm stuck. Hold on. I got stuck in the couch. We need to find it. We need a better place to do these. We're doing enough of them now. We ought to.
That's what happens when we try to go off.
Stay on script. Stay on script.
Okay.
Tired of this crap. Been up here all night. Just trying to get some sleep. We gotta work our day jobs. You done?
Are you done?